Charlie Brooker. In the news this week, with the SNP in crisis, newly elected leader Hamza Yousaf arrives at Holyrood eager to show he's a safe pair of hands. In Westminster, a shaken Larry the Cat leaves Downing Street for mental health reasons after being repeatedly shouted at over the quality of his work. And at an adult education centre in Kettering, there are celebrations as the weakest student in the woodworking class finally passes his first module. Tonight is a Sunday Times journalist and broadcaster who worked as a special advisor to Theresa May in 2019. That special advice presumably being quit. Please welcome Charlotte Ivers. And on Paul's team tonight is a comedian who recently discovered he's descended from 16th century Belgian immigrants. So if Suella Braverman's watching, he could soon be on a one-way flight to Rwanda. Please welcome Miles Jupp. We begin, as ever, with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Charlotte, have a look at this.
Yeah, go on, imagine it. It's an old bloke with a beard. And that's the attack advert.
The one everyone's very angry about, so they keep telling you how angry they are and showing you it again and again.
Do you think it's working then?
Well, we're talking about it, and we've been talking about it for days now, so yeah.
Yeah, I think saying he's a pedo is a bit much. I may have got the actual gist of it wrong.
Should we chat with some lawyers, Keir Starmer? Well, he would know, so, you know, he wouldn't put out something that wasn't true, I don't think.
No.
Do you want to see the ad in question?
Yes, please.
Have a quick look at it? You know what I think is really remarkable about that?
Yes.
He signed it. What an idiot.
Talking about himself in the third person.
That's not one of the accusations they put on the poster, though, is it?
I'm not saying it's as bad.
How has Keir Starmer responded to criticism?
Doubled down, basically, hasn't he?
Yeah, he said you're a pedo.
They're not actually calling him a pedo, are they? Have I misread this?
Ian's calling him a pedo.
Yeah. Just want to be clear, Ian is taking that one for both of us, yeah.
I'm saying that the dog whistle approach of this advert is basically to say he's doing nothing about pedos, he's complicit in pedos. And it's exactly what Boris Johnson tried to accuse Keir Starmer of when everyone had a fit and said this is gutter politics. Do you remember he said, well, you didn't arrest Jimmy Savile?
Specifically what Keir Starmer said, he said, it's not about me, it's the way we conduct our politics. I don't want to see us go down the route this potentially takes us down.
Right.
That's what he said. And he's responded to the criticism, you're right, he says he stands by every word of it, and his team say they're delighted, claiming the adverts to be a huge success because everyone is talking about them.
But it's only a success if people agree with it. Just being aware of it doesn't make it a success, does it?
I know what you mean, because it's easy to get people talking about things. I once shat my pants in a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah.
People were really talking this time.
There was in the Times yesterday saying that on Facebook, where people who actually vote go, it's all about bin collections, it's all about potholes and the stuff that actual local elections are about.
So on Facebook, are there adverts saying things like, do you think your bin should be collected more than once a fortnight?
Rishi Sunak doesn't.
That would be very effective, actually. It is infuriating. A big bin day every fortnight, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway. At least they're taking away the bottles.
Labour old lags have complained about the campaign. Do you know which old lags in particular?
Did Tony Blair complain? Said, why can't you just bomb a foreign capital?
That's not what it says on my card.
Former Shadow Chancellor?
John McDonnell. Yeah, he complained. But with all this pearl clutching, is this actually anything new?
It's newer. I mean, the Tories have been doing this for a very long time.
I don't know how far back you want to go. Here's a Conservative Party advert from 2010. Actually pretty similar.
Yep, very similar.
And the startling thing there is that that's the only known photograph of Gordon Brown smiling. Despite the furore this has caused, Labour's social media team obviously feel they're on a roll. So they've gone ahead with their next social media campaign, which is actually to promote renewable energy. I don't know if anyone saw this.
Not yet.
See this?
Right.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
It's a team bonding exercise that one person's turned up to.
I actually prefer that to the collected works of Ed Sheeran. In other news, junior doctors went on strike.
Yes.
For 4 days this week. How closely did you all follow the NHS guidance to avoid risky behaviours during that period?
Well, I didn't, because I heard that the consultants were standing in for junior doctors, so I thought this is a terrific chance to see a consultant. So I've been in A&E all week. It's been fantastic. Is this the doctors are very upset because the health secretary's disappeared.
He's literally gone. They've diagnosed him with invisibility.
Yeah.
The junior doctor, who would have been on the other side of the table, was also on holiday, isn't that right? So no one's in the negotiating room.
But also the government's pretending they didn't see this coming. Whereas they've been threatening this for, 15 years?
I don't know, because none of this is on my cards.
Yeah, well, you're like the health secretary, you know nothing.
We can say anything. Wasn't it awful how the health secretary punched all those junior doctors the other day?
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, don't worry about knowing nothing, you'll be in the cabinet.
Let's move to Scotland.
Yes, let's
move to
Well, the
Scotland.
recording's not going that badly.
Why is this big tent up in Nicola Sturgeon's garden?
She got 2 garden waste bins, is that? What is this about?
2 gardens.
I mean, it was quite a big event in Scotland. I mean, the former First Minister's husband, who was the chief executive of the SNP, was arrested, and the police swooped.
But it's missing 600 grand, isn't it?
Yeah, they raised 600 grand for a referendum campaign, and there wasn't a referendum, and then the money seems to have disappeared, and then Nicola Sturgeon's husband lent over 100,000 to his own party. And he said his wife didn't know because they don't talk much.
Looks like they don't even share a recycling bin.
We should say Peter Murrell has been released without charge pending further investigation.
We should, but it'd be funnier not to. You know, in Scotland, I mean, if there's a big loan crisis involving the leader, you know, something happens. In this country, you know, usually the bloke stays as chairman of the BBC, so...
Sorry, no, I'm just being told you're not even allowed to think.
I don't know what they're looking for, do we?
There is one thing we do know that they're looking into, that they found. Do you know what it is?
Motorhome.
And I think this is where they think some of this missing money may have gone.
That's right. Do you want to see the motorhome? Have a look.
Oh, well, you see, that's a motorhome and combined lorry. Which will save you a fortune on the fuel for the motorhome.
That was 100 grand.
I think they're actually mating.
And the real shock in Scotland about the motorhome is they're very unpopular because people take them up to tourist sites and then don't pay for hotels, which is what you've been doing.
Yes.
A whole series of...
Well, I mean, if you're in a motorhome, is there a reason why you should go into a hotel and pay for a room you're not using?
Is that a nice motorhome?
It is. Do you want to see inside it?
Yes, please.
We can
Yeah,
do that
absolutely.
magically by the magic of television. Look.
A fish
Ooh, that got an ooh. It's a Niesman and Bischoff motorhome. And do you know how much... Well, Paul, you know your way around a
I would imagine it'd be somewhere around sort of 80,000, 90,000, something like that.
Up a bit. In fact, I think, Charlotte, you might have said
£100,000 for that.
£100,000.
Right, yeah, they are expensive.
You could buy a castle in Scotland, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could.
200,000.
But they're not so mobile. Unless it's on a hill.
Peter Murrell, he's not the only public figure to have had a tricky time of things recently. So shall we have a quick game, which we're calling Cuffed or Stuffed?
Yeah, what is the actual definition of cuffed and stuffed?
Does someone have to have been literally filled?
Yeah. Or sweetening.
Define literally filled.
Well, you know, filled
Actually,
literally.
yeah. That's what I meant.
Up to the eyeballs.
It's basically, have they been arrested or dropped in it?
Okay, right, fair enough.
So fingers on buzzers.
Yeah.
It's Matt Hancock.
It is Matt Hancock. It is Matt Hancock. So cuffed or stuffed?
You're saying stuffed.
I'm saying stuffed.
In what way has he been stuffed?
Almost every way you can imagine.
Judging by the expression on his face, what's happening while that photo was taken.
You're right, he entrusted all his private WhatsApp messages to journalist Isabel Oakeshott. Why did he do that?
Because he's really stupid.
Your Honour, we have no further help.
You will accept that as an answer.
He handed them over to help her ghostwrite his pandemic diaries. As she had signed a non-disclosure agreement, she passed the private messages to the Daily Telegraph. Matt Hancock actually called it a massive betrayal, on a scale only his wife could understand. Why was he naive to trust Oakeshott in particular?
Because she hated absolutely everything that he'd done. So he thought, great.
And she...
Yeah, that's the woman who I should give everything I've written down for the last 2 years.
And the last person who trusted her with the story ended up in jail. Vicky Price, which isn't a great precedent.
Vicky Price and Chrissy, they both go to prison.
They both went to prison, yeah.
A double cuffing.
How did a lawyer who was asked to act on behalf of Matt Hancock embarrass himself on GB News?
This is so good.
Let's have a look.
Who was actually recently asked to act for Matt Hancock. Thank you for joining me.
Yes,
I have to say, that's disappointing. Because I made it absolutely clear to your programme. I asked them not to disclose that. And that is very, very poor journalism.
Yeah, we're not specifically talking about this. I've just been given the actual email that you sent to my producer, which they'd like me to read out. As a courtesy to the lady who approached me to act for MH, Matt Hancock, I would be grateful if it was mentioned that he asked me to act for him. So it seems that you actually...
You're absolutely right that it's my mistake I missed out the knot. I take all of that back.
How does he find these people?
Charlotte, you've met Matt Hancock. Beneath that bumbling facade, what's the real idiot like?
It's so long ago and he won't remember it because I must have been like 21 or something.
He'll remember.
The thing is, I think he might. But so I went up to someone who was speaking to him, and Matt, this is Charlotte. Charlotte, this is Matt. And I said, "Oh, hi, Matt. What do you do?" And he said, "I'm Matt Hancock." So I said, "Hi, Matt Hancock. What do you do?" And he looked at me like I had kicked a puppy in the head.
I mentioned that Matt Hancock had been stuffed twice.
Yes.
It was a campaign group led by
Donkeys.
They posed as a fake South Korean company and tricked him into revealing what his daily consultancy rate was. Let's find out what it is.
So we were wondering, do you have a daily rate at the moment?
No, I do, yes, it's 10,000 sterling.
It looks like he's in prison there, doesn't it? Is that just wishful thinking?
I should point out, obviously, we've been bashing the Tories a lot, and in the interest of balance, I've been given these special balancing cards.
Yes.
Post-Lineker, I have to say, Keir Starmer is a dot-eyed ponce. Anyway, back to the game.
Yeah,
back to the game. Capital stuff.
Capital stuff. Capital stuff. Cuffed.
He's been cuffed. Who is he? Do you recognise this man?
Oh, I don't know. Is it? Did he used to be on Rainbow? No. It's Donald Trump, who has been arrested in New York, and there's worse to come.
He was arrested over the hush money to the
Stormy Daniels.
star.
Yeah. Well, it's star. She co-stars and other things. I don't think you can say she's really star. She doesn't really carry the plot, to be honest.
It's sort of quite a nice contrast, isn't it? In the States, they have the porn star scandal. We have the camper van scandal. It's sort of feel really patriotic about this.
So was he cuffed? I thought there was a thing saying he won't actually be cuffed.
No, he wanted to be cuffed. He wanted a photograph, apparently, of him being led in handcuffs because it perpetuates the sense that he's being persecuted.
Right. And in America, you can run for president even if you're in prison. There are no rules.
That's right. Well, they never thought that it would happen, so they didn't construct a law to stop it.
It'd be great if they did elect somebody who's like on death row, like a proper Hannibal Lecter type. That'd be amazing. State visits, like in that Hannibal Lecter.
But what's technically the offence?
Oh, it's not an offence to pay somebody hush money, but to describe it as a business transaction was the illegal part.
If she'd been, say, a pole dancer working in Britain...
Yeah. Oh, Ian, what have you done?
How have Trump's supporters reacted to his arrest?
Oh, not very well.
Do you want to see some of his
why not?
supporters reacting? Let's take a look at them.
Yeah. That's an unfortunate thing, isn't it?
Very unusual thumbs up technique.
Or maybe it was Prince Charles going down the mall in his carriage, leaning out, going, whoa. Or maybe we will. A new age for the monarchy. Oh, my God. Who knows?
This is the story of the Labour attack ads.
That can't be right. You've just been looking at Donald Trump.
I know, I said this in the rehearsal.
Did you?
Yeah, it's a
There's
segue.
rehearsal.
You know what they said? They said it will feel weird now, but it won't later.
Yeah. Last time I heard that was on my wedding night.
This is the story of the Labour attack ads aimed at Rishi Sunak, which have been accused of dragging UK politics all the way up into the gutter. Labour have said their attack adverts are going to continue. In fact, I've actually got a preview of some of the new ones here. Here we go. Do you think Suella Braverman is a psychopath? Rishi Sunak doesn't. Do you think it's embarrassing to ask your wife for Rishi Sunak doesn't. And perhaps most startling, do you think 5'6" is too short to be Prime Minister. Rishi Sunak. Paul and Miles?
Yes.
Take a look at this.
Right. There we are, Prince Charles having a dance. This is the British eccentricity at its best.
Harry and Meghan in Toy Town.
That's it. A meaningless photo opportunity. There we are. Is it the preparations for the coronation?
It's the preparations for the coronation.
Yes. Yeah.
The plans have been unveiled. The coronation is going to be held on Saturday, May the 6th.
I want to see where they put Prince Harry. When they say, yes, it's a restricted view, sir.
You'll be in Aberdeen.
Harry is going to be there. Who isn't going to be there?
I'm not. Meghan Markle is not going to be there.
I thought she was doing childcare.
Yeah.
She's doing childcare.
Yeah.
To be fair,
don't be ridiculous.
Fourth birthday that day.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, you think they didn't know that when they were planning it? What day should we have the coronation, sir? I think oh yes, that's looking good.
There's various things they're doing to make this the most modern, archaic coronation of all time.
He's going to be a hologram.
Oh, there's an emoji.
Yeah.
Do you want to see the emoji?
Yeah,
Yes,
why
please.
not? Why is it shitting peas?
That is an emoji of St Edward's crown, and it marks the new king's desire for the ceremony to feel in keeping with the 21st century monarch. That's according to the 19th Earl of Derby, official keeper of the Royal Falcons. Right? Something else that's very modern.
The coach has been air conditioned.
And there's a jacuzzi in it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. He's arriving in a white limo.
Yeah.
With the girls.
Yeah.
In the middle of that.
Stretch limo, yeah.
Charles and Camilla are going to travel to the ceremony in this, the Diamond Jubilee State Coach.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got electric windows,
Yeah.
shock absorbers and air conditioning. Sadly for Camilla, no ashtrays.
Yep. I bet it has. I bet you that orb opens up the top.
They're going to sleep in there, costing some local hotel the chance. That's disgusting. It is disgusting.
It also does contain bits of things important to Britain's heritage.
Is the gold stolen?
Inside the carriage
Yes.
are lots of items, including a fragment of the Mary Rose ship, a piece of Florence Nightingale's dress, a small piece of the royal box at Ascot, and apparently one of Sir Edmund Hillary's Everest ladders.
So he didn't actually climb up the mountain, he climbed up a huge ladder.
If there were whole things, it's just someone going around with scissors every time they see something vaguely historically important. Be like, yep, have that.
Yeah.
Put that in the coach. Put that in the coach.
Hello, Miss Nightingale.
As if they're creating a sort of mood board for their carriage. Getting a bit laddery, let's put a bit laddery.
It's not all just state-of-the-art comfort, because sadly,
Yes.
for Charles and Camilla, they will have to slum it on their return
That's right.
to the palace. They have to go in this.
That is horrible, isn't
The
it?
gold state coach.
What's that guy up to at the front?
I don't know, is he interfering with a horse? Time to do it, actually, while everyone's focused on whoever's in the coach.
Well, rather than creep into the stables at night. Do it in front of a massive televised audience. Look back there, look back there.
What's wrong with the gold state coach?
It's very old and it's very bumpy.
That's right. The late Queen Elizabeth actually described it as horrible.
Right. Like the anus.
Well, that's exactly, because it's got no suspension.
Do you know what Queen Victoria said about it?
Yeah. Fucking disgrace.
She actually complained of its distressing oscillations. So she complained about them to start with, and then after a while she got into it. And
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Go the long way round over the cobbles.
That's it, yeah.
I don't think Hugh Edwards is going to be reading all this out.
Imagine what it would be like if there were speed bumps up the mall. And they go around twice. What do they do when they anoint?
They take the coronation spoon and they dip it in the pure oil and they anoint.
What, they lube him up to get the crown out?
Yeah, fully cuffed and stuffed.
I don't think the lubing up occurs in the original.
All this is going to be a nice counterbalance to the official coverage, won't it?
There is something modern about the anointing oil. Do you know what that is?
Is it essential?
Oh, is it made by Gwyneth Paltrow?
Does it smell of Gwyneth Paltrow?
It's actually excreted by. No. No, it's actually vegan friendly. It will no longer contain something called ambergris,
Yes.
which is extracted
Whales.
from whale intestines. That's right. No surprise, Charles is protective of whales. He used to be their prince. Do you know what else?
Round of applause for an added H.
It doesn't contain civet oil, which it used to. Do you know how they get civet oil?
That's
Squeeze a civet.
Yeah.
You do squeeze it. Do you know exactly how?
Between two table tennis bats. And you've got a jar just there.
Apparently, you have to squeeze its anal glands.
But you have to take it out to dinner first.
It'd be good if the anal glands were squeezed as part of the ceremony. That I would watch.
And perhaps it could be sort of squeezed to the rhythm of Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, singing in the new rain.
Yeah. There we are. You see? I said, for your funny audience, you clap Prince of Wales. a joke of equal stature is boom.
Finally, do you want to see an official coronation mural commissioned by Northampton Town Council?
Oh, I bet it's a cracker. Go on then. That is extraordinary.
It's actually, the longer you look at it, the more interesting it becomes.
Do we still execute people for treason in this country?
This is the news that plans have been revealed for the coronation of King Charles III. Space in Westminster Abbey is very limited. Some guests are fuming because they've been told they're not allowed to bring a +1. In fact, on Harry's invite, that bit was underlined. Joe Biden won't be there either. Some have accused him of snubbing the royals, but in fact, Biden fondly remembers the last coronation back in 1953, which he attended as an old man. And so we go to round 2, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, everybody. Here we go.
Yeah.
Paul?
The performance of The Bodyguard, I think it might have been in Manchester, where they couldn't finish the show because some members of the audience got quite boisterous, who might have had a few to drink, who started singing, joining in, and the rest of the audience couldn't hear the performer on stage. And it's become a little bit of a common theme in musicals recently of audiences getting up and singing.
Well, last week, during a performance at Manchester's Palace Theatre, according to the Sunday Times, members of the audience began caterwauling over the lead performance and refused to pipe down. We can have a listen, see if you can pick out the untrained voices. I think that's somebody extracting oil from a civet.
It's a new theme, isn't it? I mean, audiences are not being content just to watch. They want to join in. And they've had trouble at the Globe.
When you say joining in at the Globe...
Yes, now is the winter of our discontent and glorious summer, and it's down here.
This sort of thing has happened at that venue before, apparently. What had they done to try and stop incidents like this occurring?
Was it polite laminated notices?
Yeah.
Yes.
And yet it still goes on. Where are we headed? Where are we headed?
It's the end of civilization, isn't it?
Rishi Sunak thinks you should sing.
What other grand romantic story has been cruelly cut short very recently?
Rupert Murdoch was engaged to be married, and he's not anymore.
That's right.
He said, I'm too young to settle down.
Rupert Murdoch has called off his engagement to prospective fifth wife, 66-year-old Anne Leslie Smith, after just 2 weeks. This was despite the fact that 92-year-old Murdoch said just in March, "We're both looking forward to spending the second half of our lives together." I don't know how that was going to work, unless he planned to maybe drink her blood. According to the Telegraph, the media tycoon was uneasy with his fiance's evangelical views. Presumably, she'd asked him what he was most looking forward to about hell. Anyway, fingers on buzzers. Fingers on buzzers. Here's the next one.
That's Joe Biden, he has been on the island of Ireland this week. He's been telling people very happily just how Irish he is. I'm not sure if he's mentioned America at all. He's made maybe one or two unfortunate linguistic slips.
Has he?
He did. Do you know what that was?
He meant to say the All Blacks.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what he said? He
said the black and tans.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
He was talking about his cousin who played rugby for Ireland. He was supposed to say that they'd beaten the New Zealand All Blacks, but instead he said that they had beat the hell out of the black and tan. What is Joe Biden's number one priority while he's in Northern Ireland?
Not to fall over.
Visit relatives?
In Northern Ireland. He did go briefly to Northern
in
Ireland.
Northern Ireland, yeah.
Right, yes.
It was a great diplomatic gesture. He said, I'm going to go to Northern Ireland for 5 minutes and then go to Ireland for the rest of my trip. So it was a bit of a snub.
I mean, it should be fine, because if there's one thing we know about Northern Irish politics, there's probably nothing you can't sort out in an afternoon.
He spent more time asleep than he did awake while he was in Northern Ireland.
So no change to his regular... He had a very brief meeting with Rishi Sunak. Do you know how long it was?
I do. It's 7 minutes.
7 minutes?
That's
longer than you get with a GP.
On the tarmac, I think.
I was told it was 45 minutes. Maybe it was 7 minutes and he got him up to 45, Rishi Sunak, by claiming his name was Rishi O. Sunak. This is the news that Joe Biden has visited Ireland. There's been criticism that Biden's visit to Northern Ireland only lasted half a day, although given his remaining lifespan, that is a massive investment. The Times reported Biden brought his son Hunter along for the crack. He's going to be disappointed when he discovers that wasn't a spell check error. Time now for the odd one out round, just one between you all this week. Your four are Rishi Sunak, Andy Burnham, former US President Ulysses S. Grant, and a gorilla on the M40.
Andy Burnham, he got done recently for speeding, 70 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone. Rishi Sunak recently got fined, didn't he, for not wearing a seatbelt in the back of a car, so that links them too. I should imagine that what's the name of the gorilla?
His name is Gary.
Oh. Gary. Oh, I'm glad they put it up, because I wouldn't have known what Gary looked like. That's a word, it's not one I've ever come across before. Oh, there it is again. I'm going to make a note of this. This is worth knowing, then. Very much as it sounds. Ulysses S. Grant probably went too fast in a stagecoach or something like that. So I think Gary the Gorilla's the odd one out, because he was placed on the side of a motorway, but he wasn't actually in a vehicle when he committed an offence.
You're basically right.
Then basically give me the point.
They've all been fined for motoring offences.
Yeah.
Apart from Gary the Gorilla, who was travelling along the M40 completely legally. Why did motorists contact the police when they saw Gary the Gorilla?
Thought he was texting?
So I still can't get over the way that Gary's spelled.
According to the Daily Mail, the public have been on the lookout for a gorilla statue since one was stolen from a garden centre called Gary. That's what it says here. A garden centre called Gary.
Yeah.
What, the Daily Mail worried?
It's nice to know that some words haven't changed in the passage of time.
Motorists on the M40 thought this could be him. Here's how he was seen on the M40. But the police concluded it was a false sighting, adding that the statue spotted on the roads was actually Gary's brother. What was former US President Ulysses S. Grant's motoring offence back in 1872?
He honked even though he didn't bonk.
He was speeding in his horse and buggy. Was the crime. Rishi Sunak, what did he get a fine for?
Yeah, we're not wearing a seatbelt in the back of a car.
Let's take a look.
Hi. One of my New Year's promises to you was to grow the economy, and today we're announcing the second round of allocations from our Levelling Up Fund.
There's something about the angle he's at. It's sort of like you're getting a cab home from a bar and he's sort of leaning across to snog you. It's getting a very unnerving response to this video.
After the police issued that fine,
yes,
the Conservative MP for Blackpool South said that officers' time would be better spent investigating serious crime which impacts on my constituents. That was Conservative MP Scott Benton, who's just had the whip withdrawn after being caught on camera offering to lobby on behalf of the gambling industry for up to £4 grand a month.
While he's in charge of the parliamentary group for, guess what? Gambling.
It was quite a risk he took, wasn't it?
He's got a long-term interest in it. He's really passionate about the topic.
Yeah, and he just bet he wouldn't be caught.
This guy gets half as much a month as Matt Hancock gets in a day for his outside work.
£10,000 for Matt Hancock for a day. I'll be a clueless prick for £9,000 a day. Because you've been discussing Tory law breaking, I just have to say, there's nothing wrong with Jacob Rees-Mogg, and you can't convince me otherwise. Andy Burnham was fined for driving at almost twice the speed limit. Even worse, he had the audacity to cut up Nicola Sturgeon, who was innocently pootling by in her brand new motorhome. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication the English Breakfast Society newsletter. This is a newsletter about the history and traditions surrounding the English breakfast. They're actually looking for new writers after their egg correspondent got poached. We start with Woman Breaks World Record for Widest What?
Widest range of excuses for missing £600,000.
Is it egg?
Widest egg?
Widest egg.
You've got an English breakfast, you've got an unbelievably wide egg.
Wide egg.
If that's right, I'll walk to Scunthorpe and back.
It's actually woman breaks world record for widest wig. Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Oh, that's Michael Fabricant.
According to the Metro, the wig is supported by a PVC pipe, cable ties and aluminium rods, so the hairpiece is secure, but her conservatory has fallen down. Next, government to what? To help the climate crisis?
Consider making an effort.
To cut down on these wide eggs.
It's a massive pain in the ass.
It's the chickens I feel sorry for.
The government to give cows anti-flatulence medication to help the climate crisis. The Daily Telegraph referred to compound feeds to reduce digestive gas. The Times chose to call them methane suppressants, while The Sun went with fart blockers. That's what I saw in my trousers. Next, women are more interested in forming relationships with men if they what?
If they're 92 and own a major media company.
They run out of literally anything else to do.
The answer is, women are more interested in forming relationships with men if they pronounce the letter T properly. Apparently. All right. This is according to researchers from Pace University in New York. They actually had trouble getting enough audio samples to test that theory because the letter that men actually use the most is I. Yeah, take that, men.
Would you like a cup of E, love? Oh, that's it. I'm going home.
Next.
Yeah, next.
Woman in Scotland terrified to enter her kitchen because what?
Full of police.
It's because of squirrels. I saw this story. The angry squirrels have burst into it, come through the cat flap. And they go, like that.
And it's annoying because the flap is for cats and there is a laminated sign.
Yeah. You don't purr, you must demur. What it says.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's woman in Scotland terrified to enter her kitchen because of squirrels that live there.
Yes, no,
that's right.
We had them at home, they invaded the loft. They're an absolute menace.
I know they are.
Well, you should have put a sign up, did you?
Yeah.
We did. Red or grey, stay away. I mean, nothing works.
Listen to rhyme or reason.
Next, inject some variety into your English breakfast by what?
By serving it in your underpants. Wearing the underpants, not serving it in your underpants.
Not nice.
Well, could be both.
Could be both.
I filled my fart blockers with ski yogurt for you. Happy birthday.
I wasn't expecting things to get this powerfully erotic. It's inject some variety into your English breakfast by seeking out a lesser-known British sausage variety. Next, retiree what to keep himself occupied?
Takes lessons to read out loud.
Retiree what to keep himself occupied when wife goes to golf?
Is it becomes President of the United States?
Takes up golf.
Takes up drinking and going to musicals.
Yeah.
Retiree builds replica tank to keep himself occupied when wife goes to golf. Do you want to see it? Here is Roland Hopper, the retiree, with his tank.
Oh, they're lovely.
According to the Telegraph, he's hoping to sell the mini tank at auction for £25,000, which is sadly twice as much as the British Army can afford. Next, eating a full English breakfast gives you the right to what?
Patronise other cultures.
Drink incredibly early in an airport.
It's actually, eating a full English breakfast gives you the right to ignore everyone sat at your table and read the newspaper. Yeah. This is an article in the English Breakfast Society newsletter, which I sit at the table reading while ignoring my wife and kids. Not because it's an interesting publication, but because I hate them. It's all right.
Powerfully erotic.
Will you be encouraging your family to watch this programme tomorrow night? Oh, there's a good bit at the end. I'll be down the pub.
What did I say? I don't mean it.
Well, I don't know. It didn't sound like it.
Next, scientists find that ancient humans frequented caves for what?
Consumption of mind-altering substances. Hallucinogenic drugs.
I'm going to give you that.
Thanks very much.
Because scientists find that ancient humans frequented caves for drug-fueled raves.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, the historical rave site in question is now being managed by the Spanish government. I don't know which department, I'm guessing the Ministry of Sound. And finally, the English Breakfast Society ask that you stop what?
Crunching.
Yeah. Eating fruit salad.
Taking the piss out of their nice publication on your horrid panel show.
Exactly. It's about time somebody had the guts to say it.
The actual answer is the English Breakfast Society ask that you stop writing to us to say that we're wrong. This is from the English Breakfast Society, who received complaints after claiming hash browns aren't part of a traditional English breakfast. They're adamant in their view, writing, "We here at the Society believe that frozen hash browns are used as a cheap breakfast plate filler served by people who probably buy cheap imported bacon and sausages and who have probably never even heard of bubble and squeak. Calm down, you'll have a heart attack, just slightly sooner than you were going to anyway." Anyway, the final scores are Ian and Charlotte on a paltry 2.
Oh, that's but we got no points for about an hour.
Yeah.
And you sort of slipped into a wide egg tailspin.
Yeah.
Whereas Paul and Miles have a superb 8.
Well done.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Labour strategists agreeing on a firm new direction for the party.
According to the iPhone, the sea is definitely not behind us.
There we go.
Prince William prepares to greet Prince Harry.
On that note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Charlotte Ivers, Paul Merton and Miles Jupp, and I leave you with news that on a trip to Kazakhstan, there's joy for Foreign Secretary James Cleverly as hotel staff tell him he's allowed to keep the dressing gown. In Saffron Walden, there are angry scenes on the delayed 8 a.m. train to London after one man sits in a priority seat and then refuses to move. And as he turns up for his annual prostate examination, Jeremy Corbyn is alarmed to see there's been a last-minute change of doctor. Good night. But before we go, can I just ask the audience to please refrain from singing along to the theme tune? Thank you.
Choir falling down a coal mine.
I thought it was powerfully erotic.
Yeah, well.